All right, so get this. Today we're diving deep into pro hockey and this one team that's using data to like totally rewrite their story.
Yeah.
It's the Winnipeg Jets.
And it starts with their new coach, Scott Arniel.
You know what's interesting?
What's that?
He's not just, jumping on the analytics bandwagon like everyone else.
Right.
He's got like a whole philosophy about it.
I think that's a really interesting point.
Yeah, he's all about data, but also human intuition, communication, and even learning from mistakes,
Yeah, it's not just about like crunching numbers or something like that.
Exactly. There's got to be more to it.
Right.
So tell me, what's this approach all about?
Okay, so imagine this. Arniel is an assistant coach with the Capitals, right? And they've got this cutting-edge analytics team.
Uh-huh.
So you'd think everything would be super smooth, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But there's this story about these early meetings where everyone's just staring at spreadsheets, totally lost.
Oh.
Yeah, coaches, analysts, everyone's confused about what the data actually means and how to use it.
So even with all this fancy data, they're missing something.
Exactly. It was a total wake-up call for Arniel. He realized that you can have all the analytics in the world,
Right.
but if you don't have a shared understanding and you can't communicate it clearly, it's basically useless.
Yeah, it's like having a Ferrari with no steering wheel.
Exactly.
So is that where this whole human side of analytics thing comes in?
Absolutely. And that leads us to Arniel's first big move when he gets to Winnipeg. He calls an analytics summit.
Oh, wow.
And this wasn't about just crunching numbers. It was about bringing everybody together, coaches, management, analysts, to get everyone on the same page.
Okay, so what happened at this summit? Did they just like stare at more spreadsheets?
No, they actually like hammered out what data to track, how to understand it, and most importantly, how to actually use it, on the ice.
So they figured out how to turn data into strategy.
Right, and this ties into something you mentioned earlier, Winnipeg's playoff struggles.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that tough loss to Colorado?
Oh, yeah. That was a tough one to swallow. Especially because Winnipeg is known for their defense.
Right, and that's where Arniel's approach is so interesting. He wasn't satisfied with just knowing that Colorado used a dump and chase strategy.
You mean just dumping the puck into the offensive zone and chasing after it?
Yeah, exactly. He wanted to understand why it worked and what parts of Winnipeg's play were being exploited.
So he was like a detective digging deeper.
Totally. And what he found was that even a team with great defense can be vulnerable if they get predictable. Colorado used analytics to find those weak spots and build a whole game plan around them.
So they used data to outsmart Winnipeg.
Exactly.
Wow. So what did Arniel do with his new knowledge? Did he just stick with the same system?
That's where his adaptability comes in. He knows about those crucial stretches in past playoff games, those 6 to 8 minutes where things fall apart. And he knows that doing the same old thing won't work against teams who can disrupt their game.
I'm on the edge of my seat here. What does he do?
So he focuses on refining, adapting, and empowering his coaching staff.
Okay, so how does he do that?
Well, he draws inspiration from the Carolina Hurricanes.
Yeah.
They've got this really cool approach to power play and penalty kill meetings.
Oh, interesting. Tell me about it.
So basically, the coaches from both sides, offense and defense, get together and brainstorm. They even have their head coach, Rod Brindamore, joining in.
Wow. So everyone's in on it.
Yeah, it's all about collaboration,
So instead of keeping offense and defense separate, they're like breaking down those barriers?
Exactly. They want everyone's perspective.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and Arniel wants that same spirit in Winnipeg, where everyone feels like they're part of the plan and they can contribute.
I like that a lot. It's like a hockey think tank.
Totally.
But, not every player loves all that data stuff.
Right.
How does Arniel get those more old school guys on board? The ones who rely on instinct?
Well, that's where his experience and communication skills come in. He's not forcing analytics on anyone. It's about explaining things in a way that makes sense to them.
So he shows them how data can actually help them play better.
Exactly. He makes it a tool for empowerment, not control.
That's smart.
Yeah. And it's actually leading to some interesting changes on the ice.
Like what?
Well, remember those gaps in front of the net that Colorado exploited? He's working with his defensemen to be more aggressive, taking away those high-danger scoring areas.
So they're being proactive, like anticipating threats before they happen.
Exactly.
But defense alone doesn't win championships, right?
Yeah.
What about offense?
You're right. Winnipeg's defense has been their strong point.
Yeah.
But Arniel knows they need more firepower offensively.
For sure.
And that's where analytics is helping them find hidden opportunities.
Hidden opportunities. Tell me more about that.
Okay, so they're using data to track zone entries, shot quality, passing efficiency, all that stuff that leads to scoring chances. By looking at all this info, they can figure out where they're doing well and where they need to improve.
It's like fine-tuning a race car.
Exactly. They're using data to get the most out of the team.
Of that.
And this also applies to special teams. Remember how we talked about their power play looking amazing?
Yeah, it's been on fire.
That's not by accident. They're using analytics to study the other team's penalty kill units.
Oh, wow.
They find those little weaknesses and design plays to take advantage of them.
So they're playing chess on the ice.
Pretty much.
This is incredible. But here's the big question. Can all this data crunching actually predict if a team will be successful?
That's the big debate, isn't it? Analytics is a powerful tool, but it's not magic.
Right.
You still need talented players, good coaching, and some luck.
And that fire that you can't measure with numbers,
Exactly.
It seems like Arniel's trying to build a team where data and instinct work together.
You got it. And that's what makes this Jets team so interesting. They've got the talent, the system, and a coach who knows how to use data to make them even better.
I love these deep dives, man. Uncovering these stories is fascinating.
Yeah.
But let's address the elephant in the room. Can the Jets finally get over their playoff struggles? That's the question, isn't it? Can they turn all this regular season success into a deep playoff run?
Yeah, it's the ultimate test, I guess. But what's really exciting about the Jets this season goes beyond just wins and losses.
Oh, okay. I like where this is going. What do you mean?
It's their resilience, their willingness to adapt, to learn from mistakes, and to always try to be better. And that's a reflection of Arniel himself and his journey as a coach.
You're right. Arniel has definitely had his own setbacks over the years.
Yeah, for sure.
But he seems to have used those experiences to, get better and refine his approach.
Exactly. He's not afraid to admit when things haven't worked, and that's huge for the players.
Yeah. It sets a good example.
Right. It creates a culture where failure isn't the end. It's like a chance to learn.
That's a great lesson, not just in hockey, but in life, too. Trying new things, experimenting, learning from those experiences.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole Winnipeg thing so interesting. It's not just about winning a Stanley Cup. It's about changing the way you think, challenging the old ways, and pushing the limits of what's possible in hockey.
So for our listener who's been with us on this deep dive, what's the big takeaway here? Why should they care about the Jets and their analytics adventure?
Because it's a story that goes beyond sports. It's about the power of information and how important communication is, and that human desire to overcome obstacles. It reminds us that even in a game as crazy as hockey, there's always room to innovate and improve.
It's like that idea that sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from challenging the norm and embracing new ideas.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe this is the start of something totally new in hockey, where analytics and human instinct work together.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought.
It is. So as we wrap up our deep dive into the Winnipeg Jets, here's a question for you to think about. Can the Jets' data-driven approach, combined with Arniel's emphasis on communication and teamwork, lead them to the championship? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. This is a team to keep an eye on, and their journey reminds us that in sports, as in life, the only thing that's constant is change.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into hockey analytics. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing those boundaries.